Okay, so I believe that is the issue sorted. It's a new stream. Hello everyone and welcome to the 12th round of the NEF1 Championship. For this week we are racing around the streets of Azerbaijan for the first time since season 5, if I'm not mistaken. We're here for the Baku Grand Prix, or the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. 16 drivers on the grid, Q1, Q2 and Q3 session. Q1 is already well underway as we had a couple of audio issues in the stream earlier, but hopefully those have been resolved. So I think I'm going to get the output on that quite a bit. Just need to restart. But now hopefully everything is going to be working. So then, a couple of new changes for this session. We got an all-new driver lineup for Kicksauber. It is Ipsk, new driver hailing from Norway, and he's racing alongside previous NEF1 driver JV8, making his return to the league this week out. We also have Noah48 NEF1, that is Noah Larks, under a new game tag that he's going for this season. So let's see if that just maybe just gives him a slight pace improvement. We'll see. But Noah 48 is no luck, so nothing's changed in the McLaren lineup. Just a simple name change. We also have someone who has won a Grand Prix for the first time in a long time. He took the race on penalties last week out. It is Watts. Who took the British Grand Prix last time out when we went racing around Silverstone. 25 points going home to RB then. And it was the first race win in a long time for I. Was the first race win since season 3 in Italy, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been quite a while for the Jamaican British driver. It was absolutely brilliant to see him back on that top step. Matty Adams, 16, very well could have won that race. Unfortunately had contact with Djokovic on the safety car restart, and that cost him a good points per position. And this means that Djokovic cannot get the championship completely locked out this week, but he's not far away from getting it locked out next week. So wait and see how everything goes. As lap times are beginning to be set, we're going to drop one car at the end of this session. At the moment, that car is not going to be a YPC test, as he's gone fast out of anyone with a 39.7. At the moment, that is Wigan down in 16th. But we're expecting some changes throughout the rest of this session. Please let me know if it can be heard. That should be the goal for now, but I think it should be working. After a bit of a stream restart. So I'm just going to focus on that and getting everyone into it again. Also, it's a bit of a weird moment where stream audio output was working, but the game or the game input wasn't registering. I don't know why, really. So then we're gonna have a bit of an awkward start to the stream, but thankfully the audio is working now. I've got a couple of people back in the stream, and it's gonna fill up more and more hopefully now. So then, there we go. Darren Stahl currently sitting in P11, Gins is P12, Ipsk Dude is in 13th, and out there hunting for more lap time. He's in Sector 1 in his Kicksauber, along with JV8 out in 14th, and apparently, if I'm not mistaken, maybe having made contact to the wall earlier on. Then we have Kit W41 in P15, VBT chasing the field in 16th. He's now coming up on the start-finish rate, and he is getting a lovely tow off that Scuderia Ferrari, which is, to be fair, is not going to gain him much as it is the out lap. But if that was a fast lap, he would have gained probably just a 10th or 2, if not even more, by getting that level of tow. So massive advantage if you can get a tow down that back straight. So then a BT in the Mercedes, teammate unfortunately not being able to race here tonight, but hopefully he'll be with us for next week out in Singapore, if I'm not mistaken, but it should be Singapore. Sabiti now makes his way into that incredibly tricky Sector 2, which is one of the most difficult of this season, that Sector 2. It's a purple Sector 1, but that is according to his times and not the session's times in general. Here we go then, tight end, tricky right-hander, and we are coming up for the first time on stream, if I'm not mistaken, to the castle section. And it gets very close to the wall, but man, just stay clear of it. And is that Matty Adam potentially behind him? Yes, it is. It is Matty Adam that gave ABT a massive slip down the start-finish line, which uncharacteristic of Matty. I don't really understand why, but it doesn't matter. Here we go, then ABT is rounding the final proper corner, last braking zone, and now it is flat running to the start-finish straight. It's not a perfect run coming out of the final corner, and that is going to hamper his run all the way down into the end of the lap. This is not ideal for ABT, but I don't think he'll be overly concerned. He's going to cross the line, and it's going to be, imagining about a 141. It's a 140 even. It's a 140.301. Good enough for P4, which is most likely, with that time, going to get him into Q3. So BT putting on a decent level of pace here as well. Was putting on a decent level of pace last week out in Britain as well. Just wasn't able to convert it into a high points paying position after a couple of issues early on. JV8 in P11, Ipsk Dude at the moment in P15 with Ginstis behind him in P16. Kit up there on a set of mediums in 14th. There's time to find in that lap. And Kit right now is a driver who's just improving a little bit every single week. Iwatts, last week's race winner, has experienced some whiplash and is now sitting in 12th on a 141.756. I don't think he'll be too disappointed, too shocked with that. But it's going to be a little bit of a stinger for sure. Samo Bamo, a man who's done ever so well since joining Ferrari, maybe not points-wise, but performance-wise, now sitting in P10. As Noah's now retired from the session, I'm hoping that is in the pit lane. Yes, it is, along with Djokovic as well. We're not going to see them again, but they're going to go nice and safely through. And at the moment, it is Ginstis or Ipsk Dude facing elimination here in Q1. So Ginstis out hunting for time. He's on an outlap at the moment, which is just starting his flying lap. And Sam Obama's just going to complete a flying lap. But this is on a race run, so he's about a second slower than his previous best. He's not going to be improving again, but I don't think he'll have to. Has about a 2-second gap to Ginstis and Ipsk Dude. So it should be fine. Should be very fine. Ginstis 83 had a difficult couple of races now. Not really getting those performances together, but it's not. Shouldn't be too worried about that yet. Shouldn't be too worried about it. It's going to be very, very fine. This is gonna be one of those races that is not won on attrition, but if you can just keep it clean throughout 26 lap of Baku, you'll be able to pick up a couple of decent points. As Mac is giving us a early podium prediction in order: Matty Adam in P1, Djokovic in P2, BT in P3, with the fastest lap going to Samo Bamo. That's a bold prediction. We'll see. I know Matty for sure is going to be frustrated with not being able to pick up that W in Britain. He'll feel like he very much could have picked up that. And on race pace, it was probably the fastest, if not YPC Tess, who unfortunately retired due to contact with Wigan earlier on in... I can't remember where it was. Cops. It was. Samati could have had his first win of the season by now. Unfortunately, it just wasn't to be. We'll see if that comes in the next few races. As Ginstis, 14 fastest, 42.162. Now Kit's in a little bit of trouble potentially, but Ispdu needs to be coming out of the pit lane and needs to be doing that now. He is currently the driver at risk of elimination, and by a little bit of a margin as well. CBT now has converted his quali run not to a race run. I was about to say, I thought he was going to stay out for another lap or two, but no, he's coming into the pit lane. He is safe from elimination. Sam Obama and P10's doing the same. It's just that they're putting a couple of laps in. Not much going on right now, and Ipskdude is still in the pit lane, which means he is out of qualifying. That is Q1 settled. Ipskdude is going to be eliminated here in his first qualifying session in NEF1. Is not going to be able to get another time on the board. And Kit and Ginstus both passes then into Q2. Matty Adam in 13th, Jace Iwat, sorry, in 12th, followed by JV8, Zamobamo, Dernstyle, Wigan, Hybrid, Spenclose, Noah, BT, Djokovic, Squidge, and Tess is the top 15. Then the only driver we're losing in this session is unfortunately Ipsdude, but we're going to see more of him for the Grand Prix. But that is going to take a little while. So you can just sit back, relax, and see the pace of everyone else. Maybe just pick up a couple of tricks here and there throughout the laps. You'll be able to spectate along with us. As everyone now realistically should be calming down not to risk anything. But that unfortunately isn't quite the racer DNA. It's the racer IQ, but it's not the DNA. As you can see, that Kit makes contact with the wall, which could have been bad. So I don't know why it's worth pushing on. But just probably want to get ahead of Ginstus and maybe Matty as well. As here we go then, Kit's gonna come across the line, is gonna be an improvement, it's gonna be decent improvement, but not in terms of position, and whilst he did that, he also risked terminal damage. So was it worth it for Kit W41? Not really, but oh well, doesn't matter, we are heading into this lineup with, or we're heading into Q2 with this current lineup then. Tess, Squidge, Djokovic, BT, Noah, Wigan, Spenclose, Sternstyle, Hybrid and Samu into the top 10, JV8, Iwatts, Matty, Ginstus and Kit. We'll be right back in a minute's time with coverage of Q2. Until then, just stay with us. As there we go then, as we can see once again, YPC Tess has finished session out in front on 139.719 ahead of Squidges 139.914 and Djokovic's 140.171, about half second off the fastest lap. Beat in fourth with Noah in fifth, and if he can keep that pace up, it'll be a promising result in a season where he has struggled just a little bit, Noah. Wigan in sixth, Spenclose in seventh, Darren in eighth, Hybrid in ninth, and Samo in 10th. So then, there we go. We're heading into Q2 territory. I ran through this on the earlier stream, which unfortunately none of you heard me. So I'm just gonna go through it once again. I'm gonna go through the Drivers and Constructors Championship just real quick before we get any competitive running in. So at the moment, Aston Martin are in the lead of the Constructors Championship on 301 points of Scuderia Ferrari's 243, and they're getting a grip of that Constructors Championship more and more as Djokovic and Wigan. And not for the first time, they are leading a Constructors' Championship together. Mercedes-AMG Petronas in P3, followed by Red Bull and Alpine 4th and 5th, and RB took a couple of steps up this last week with the win from iWatts. They went past McLaren and Williams. Haas is in 9th, and Sauber, the only team yet to score a point after having a turbulent season driver-wise, now fielding a new lineup, and they'll be hoping to get at least a couple of points this week and this season. Potentially, realistically. In the Drivers' Championship, we're looking at the bottom 10 right now, and it is Ginstus who has been knocked out of that top 10 slot along with No Larks. They have been replaced by iWatts and Darren Stahl. iWatts up 5 positions in the championship 1 week. That is one of the biggest gains of the season. Djokovic, 114 points clear of Matty. Would have needed to be 150 by the end of this race in order to clinch the championship. Needs to be, if I'm not mistaken, 125 by next week to secure it. So that is going to get easier and easier for Djokovic, and we're coming into the last couple of weeks now, probably, of championship contention. Matty, the only one, I'm not even going to say to realistically be able to challenge, who might just be able to have a go at it if Djokovic has an absolute disaster class. But then, I doubt that it's going to happen. We have an absolute machine in Djokovic, who previously hasn't been able to lock a championship down this early, but it has been a special kind of campaign from him. Matty hasn't really been able to challenge. He's without a race win, Matty, in his championship contention in P2, but has just been able to be consistent throughout, as Noah begins a flying lap. Then he's long JV8 and BT Kit as well does so, quite early on. Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird season, but one that Djokovic has been absolutely deserving in. So, just a couple of more races now, we'll be able to crown ourselves probably a 3-time NEF1 champion, and that's a hell of a record. It couldn't have even been a 4 or 5-time NEF1 champion. That is how good Djokovic is, and has been throughout NEF1. Here we go then, through the castle section with Noah into the left-hander, and now across this actually quite fun sweeping left-handed section. It's not the castle section anymore, it's the, let's call it the downtown section. Quite a nice downtown area, if I may say so myself. And now into the final proper brakings on the proper final corner. And that's perfect for Noah. That is a beautiful run through there, and it's going to gain him just a little bit of time on the run down to the line. JV8 is also on that run. Let's see if we can get that lap date up, as I completely forgot to do so. But I think most people this session, as he's given the Mercedes of BT a lovely, lovely tow. The question is, has he held him up a little bit as well? We'll see. Is BT going to benefit off that? No, not quite. Fails to beat Noah, but beats both Kit and JV8. Kit actually out-qualifies JV8 this session on a set of medium tyres. Matty also on a set of medium tyres on 140.793. West Djokovic and all of this on a medium tyre coming out the final corner, but his lap has been invalidated. Spen Close is on a medium tyre, just about to cross the line. It's not going to be an exceptional time. 141.076. I dare say he's going to have to go again on that time. Wings about to cross the line as well on a set of soft tyres. So then, quickly across the line, 141.191. Just shy of Spenclose, and that might just be enough. Was Samo as well not beating that time on a medium tire? It's a 141.306. So a couple of interesting laps being put out. YPC Test not getting anything done on that medium tire in his first run. He's going to have another go at it. Hybrid's on a set of softs. Djokovic's on another set of mediums then, or on the same set of mediums. With Squidge as well on a set of mediums. So quite a couple of people still could get out ahead of Matty and Spenclose on their medium run. I would imagine a soft tire runs to follow, and that's a good lap from iWatts actually that I've just not seen until now, 140.565. So that's pace they didn't quite have in Q1, this has just been put out there in Q2. I would have loved to see that lap. It would have been a nice, lovely little run. Also want to thank Noah48 as well for being the first driver in NEF1 history to actually run NEF1 in his gamer tag. Some nice advertising for the league, that, so thank you, Noah, one of our more dedicated drivers. It's an absolute pleasure having him here. As there we go, YPC Test uncharacteristically sets the fastest lap of the session, so 139.437, about 1 second quicker than Noah on the set of softs. And we're all doomed. 1 second faster than Djokovic. Oh, godness. Let's go. Let's do this then. Squidge, please give us a contender. Just gotta take your hats off YPC Test and the pace he's putting on display this season. A couple of mistakes here, and that has held him back a little bit. But the outright speed and pace is absolutely that. As here we go then, Squidge across the line in just a moment's time is going to be a 139.885. A couple of attempts off YPC Test, but good enough for P2, and he's going to get into Q3 on that medium tire. Should he want to? Darren Styles in P12. Azerbaijan sitting outside the top 10 at the moment. Not really good first run. Ginst is in 13th, Kid in 14th, JV8 returning to NEF1 in 15th right now. As my voice isn't really working right now, so I'll be taking probably quite a couple of water breaks throughout this race. It's not been working well for a little over a week now, so I'm getting slightly worried about it. So every now and again, if I just disappear, that's probably because I'm having either a cough or a slight water break, just so you guys know. And if I do miss anything interesting, I apologize in advance. So here we go then with 6 minutes 30 to go. We have the top 10 consisting of Wigan, Matty, Hybrid, iWatts, Spenclose, Djokovic, Noah, Beatty, Squidge, and Samobamo just outside that top 10 by about a tenth of a second on Wigan. Then we have Darren Style, Ginster's Kit, and JV8 as previously mentioned. Better get a move on because laps around here do not come easy and they don't come cheap. So we're having just a couple of small moments out there every now and again, but everything seems rather clean right now. No terminal damage yet, but I think we're going to have at least one little moment in the race probably where someone goes out due to maybe just hitting a barrier, hitting a wall, maybe the castle section, you would imagine. An I am stupid moment at some point this race. Ginst is making his way around the track once again. Then 5 minutes to go now. He's sitting in 13th. Samo sitting in 12th. Wimp sitting in 11th. None of them out on track quite yet. With Matty now in P10. Wes Benclose at the moment is in the pit lane with 5 minutes to go. He's on a 140.465. I don't think that lap is going to carry him through. But we'll wait and see how drastic track evolution is. Djokovic is out on an outlap on a set of softs. Just covering all his bases, really. Want to get out ahead. Squidge has also selected a set of softs. Websy Test, I think is 100% comfortable going for on mediums, and I don't think we'll see him again for this session. We'll wait and see. 4 and 15 remaining now. Matty is going to come across for P3 in this session, 139.927, meaning he's going to be straight into Q3. See, BT... For some reason I selected the hard tyre. It's not his best run though. So at the moment we have medium lap set by Websy, Squidge, Tess... Websy, Test, Squidge, BT and... Sorry, not BT, Djokovic and Spenclose. A couple of those people are out on different tyres now, including Djokovic. Trying to make sense of this, but it's difficult at the moment. It is difficult at the moment, but Djokovic is out there on a set of soft tyres then, meaning he's going to improve by at least 3-4 attempts, you would imagine, sending him straight into the top 5. But then now we're looking at the bottom 5 for these next 3 minutes, and it's time for Samo Bamo to come out to give himself a proper chance at this. JV8's been able to improve past Kit now, so Kit needs to get a move on here. And he's getting a move on through Sector 1. But this very much looks like maybe a recharge lap. No batteries being used, if nothing else. And is not going to be a fast lap, no. So let's see. Wigan, though, is on a fast lap. And this is going to have to count 2:30 to go. We're running out of time here, so we'll need to make something off this. Zamo needs to come out soon. He's not giving himself much room. But is that a Ferrari coming in on the bottom side of your screen? Yes, it is. Sam Obama's coming out of the pit lane, man. As Wigan is making up ground in the fast sector, and that might send Darren and Hybrid into danger territory, let's just say. As Squidge is retired from this session, 139.885, we'll see him again for Q3. No. Whoa, is there a stationary Red Bull somewhere out on track? No, that is the RB of iWatts. I thought maybe Squidge had been claimed by the World Champions for the moment there. But that thankfully wasn't the case. That was a retirement in the pit lane, meaning we will see Squidge once again for Q3. That was a little hard stop moment. Djokovic's gone fastest, 39.36, 4 on a set of soft tires, so there's a tire offset between him and YPC Tess. But Djokovic is going to be glad just finishing this session in Q1 or in P1 regardless. Here comes Win then, and he is most likely going to improve inside the top 10, but how deep inside the top 10 can he go? P8, and he knocks Darren Style out. Darren, who's now on an outlap, needs to get going. Ginsis and JV8 are in the pit lane, meaning they're already out of contention here. And Kit has 1 minute to get around the track, which is it impossible? From this point on, no, it's not impossible. He needs to get around quite quickly if he wants to make it, though. Not impossible, but improbable, the way this is looking. Especially with the way he's currently driving. Now actually having to deploy just to get around here. Because I don't think this is a flying lap, is it? Or is this a flying lap, potentially? I had quite a bit of battery on. Coming up to the Sector 2 split. Oh, this is a flying lap. Never mind. This is a flying lap, and he is improving, actually. And is improving by quite a bit. So might well get close. Sam Obama at the moment is improving as well through Sector 1. So I'll keep an eye on that. I thought Kit was on a recharge lap. That's not the case whatsoever. So let's see where he's going to be able to finish up as the checkered flag drops here with Djokovic in P1. Kit makes it up and is only going to be P14, unfortunately. Gets close to his teammate in the end, but just dropping a little bit of time in that third and final sector. Here we go then. Sam Obama needs to have a good middle sector now. Darren Stahl is having a decent first sector as well, which is going to put Hybrid's risk. Needs to have a good second sector. Iwatts is there as well, and he's going to be first at the cross line to solidify his position. As Wiggins is not going to be improving any further, so he'll be hoping that that 40.5 is enough. Here comes Iwatts across the line then, and he's going to be P8 for the Jamaican British driver, 140.491, and that's placed Wiggins in a bit of a dangerous situation, because here comes Sam Obama, and he is going to be improving straight into the top 10 with a lap time that looks really handy right now. Where's he going to end up on the field? It's going to be inside the top 10, I can promise you that. Here we go, P7 for Sam Obama, knocking Wiggin down into P10 now. Hybrid and Darren, and this is going to happen quickly. Who is on the better lap? And he's punching a massive hole in the air for Darren Stahl, and this is bad on all accounts for Hybrid. Darren with a massive toe down the back straight. Hybrid's backed out. Darren inside the top 10, and Wiggin is out of qualifying. Wiggins out of qualifying, and Hybrid did Darren every single favour that he almost could at the end of that session. And might that have been so powerful that it sent him into the top 10? Maybe. Maybe. It was an absolutely brilliant toe from Darren. As I have apparently, and people are taking the piss out of me in chat for that, said Wall of Champions somewhere, and I'm imagining I call the castle section the Wall of Champions. So yeah, just poke at the commentator a little bit. Probably fairly deserve that one. Wall of Champions, really? I don't usually do commentary blunders like that, do I? That'd be slightly embarrassing. Djokovic finishes session in P1 then ahead of Wipe-C-Tess and Spenclose here in the sunset in Baku. A beat in P4 followed by Squidge in P5, Matty Adam in 6th, Noah in 7th, Darren Samo P8 and P9. Iwatts just makes it through in P10 by eliminating Wiggin by 500ths of a second. So it was close in the end. Hybrid just missing out there at the end as well, punching a massive hole in the air for our friend Darren Stahl. As Matty saying, I'm only 10,000 kilometers off. Thank you very, very much, Matty. Like I need the reminder. Oh well, there we go, Q3, and let's just let's see if we can stay clear of any more commentary blunders then, since apparently I'm very much going to be called out on them from now on, so that's just gonna be pleasant. That's just gonna be pleasant. So somewhere along this session, let's see if Matty MC16 can't find himself inside a Wall of Champions just for a good I am silly moment. Djokovic's coming out as well. Most people coming out quite early on here in the third stage of qualifying. Yeah, most people coming out here for the first stage of this qualifying session. YPC following his teammate Darren Stahl. The two Alpine have come out together. Unfortunately, still having that textureless Alpine glitch, which you can see there is looking quite weird. But thankfully, the Alpine is the best car to have that glitch on, as it is an absolutely abysmal-looking car, and whomever designed that needs to be fired immediately. Iwatts in P9, followed by Matty MC16 in P10, just going through the Wall of Champions. Unfortunately, not having an I am silly moment. Well, hopefully, there's going to be a couple more chances for it this session. Djokovic in P2, Noah in P3, Beat in P4, Spenclose and Squidge P5. 6. As people are starting their flying laps quite closely together here as well, so everything's gonna happen very much at once. And this is gonna be a slight slipstream for everyone, which around this place might be beneficial as well. And I wonder if that's what people are thinking. Samo Bamo is just behind his teammate Matty Adams 16. Let's actually do this properly for once. Then we have the RB, or the Red Bull duo of Squidge and Spenklos, and in that order. Then we have the lone Mercedes of ABT trying to stick with, along with Djokovic, who is running in a bit of clear air, a couple of seconds behind ABT at least. Then we have the RB of iWatts, followed by the two Alpines, and Noah rearing up the field, very much behind an Alpine of Might That Be Darren Style. No, that is YPC Tess. So here we go, through the castle section for Matty Adams 16, and that is perfectly executed. Gonna have to do that at least 27 more times. Not that I'm counting. Here we go then, through the final couple of proper corners and downhill into the last braking zone of the track. Just getting on that inside curb a little bit, but it's not going to hamper his lap too much. And let's see what is going to be able to get done here. And everyone surely should be on a set of soft tires. Yes, they are, so I don't think we'll need that graphic. Here we go then. Matty Adams 16 is going to come across the line for what I imagine is going to be a 139. Maybe a low 140. It's going to be a 139.739 to start the session. Samo Bamo 140. Not quite good enough. Here comes the two Red Bulls on a 138.9 and a 140.1 respectively. Next to cross line is going to be a BT 139.1. Djokovic pulls inside the pit lane. Darren Styles going to come across the line. Where is he going to end up? It is going to be P6 with YPC Test coming across the line now. And is going to be P2 for the Alpine man. And Noah comes across the line last to finish off the first run. 140.640. And that is the first part of qualifying over. And it's, it is Squidge up front by a little over a tenth of a second on YPC Test and a BT. Test not getting the cleanest of runs in there. And it shows in terms of lap time. BT in P3, Matt in P4, Spenklos in P5. But it is Squidge who is improving ever more this season now after having a difficult start to the season. Should be said, with Spenklos really carrying that team in the beginning now. Find themselves almost completely equal on points as well. Here we go, Darren Stahl in P8. Djokovic and iWatts both pulled into the pit lane there. The contenders for the British Grand Prix last week, not getting a lap in early here in Q3. As I can unfortunately feel my cold just getting worse and worse, so hopefully I'll be able to manage my voice throughout this race, but I'll be speaking in a bit of a different way than I usually do, just so you guys know. So then, now nothing much is going to be happening for the next couple of minutes. Djokovic is out on a run, so I'll just let that take a bit of time. Just let it take a bit of time, and he's going to be out on a fast lap in about a minute, which is going to give us something to look at, thankfully. As for iWatts, I think he might be leaving this to the last moment. iWatts isn't probably expecting to qualify anywhere but maybe 9th or 10th. So he doesn't have as much to lose as just leaving it to the latest point, whereas Djokovic will probably want time to correct a mistake if one is made on this next lap as well. So that run plan does make sense from Djokovic's point of view. That's just now coming down the start-finish rate, and the question is here, we still have the deployment glitch if I'm not mistaken, meaning you can deploy as much as you want over the course of a lap. As long as you have the battery too, how much battery do you actually deploy on this opening straight? Because there's not a lot of time to be found between the start-finish line and the fast corner. There's not a lot of time. It's about 3 seconds until the apex, 4 seconds until you hit. Oh! And that is why Djokovic wanted to give himself an extra lap, because that is his lap well and truly over and done with. That is not going to be a competitive lap from the championship leader after that little mistake, and he knows that. And that's why he went out slightly earlier, to give himself room to overpush the car like that. The question is, does he have front wing damage? And the answer to that is no. Thankfully no front wing damage on that Aston Martin, but it's a compromised run plan nonetheless. As Darren is out there then on 140.385. At the moment the battle for pole position is between Squidge, Tess and maybe just ABT. It's separated by about 2/10 those three. Matty quite a ways back on that 39.739. Needs to improve a little bit. Needs to improve quite a lot actually, can himself amongst that battle. We'll wait and see. A lot bigger spread this week than we had a week ago in Silverstone, 2 weeks ago in Belgium. As here we go, Djokovic is going to give this another go, needs to get the fast corner right this time, and should probably now just set a time to be able to get him into the top 5 if nothing else. Remember, Djokovic has the championship to think about, and nothing else. The results doesn't really matter as long as you can lock those points down. It's a clean run for the first couple of corners for Djokovic. So then, through first sector, 3.5 seconds up on his previous best, which is to be expected. It was 144.903, so Djokovic at the moment on pace. Now heading into the castle section, and not the World Champions, the castle section. For the last time in this session, most likely. We have 1 minute 50 to go, and everyone at the moment is out on track, either on a fast lap or an out lap. Djokovic has Matty behind him. Question is, Matty, I think, started the lap further along. Yeah, and he's just backed off, so he's going to give this one more go towards the end of it. Djokovic is going to give this one hell of a go now. Second sector split then, and he is on pace right now for provisional pole position is Djokovic. And where's this pace come from? Here we go. Djokovic then rounding the final couple of corners, and is it going to be provisional P1, or is he just going to lose a little bit on this main straight? Needs to manage the battery to never run out of it until that start-finish line. It's not going to be provisional P1. Loses quite a bit in that final sector, but it's going to be inside the top 5 if nothing else. 39.446 and damage limitation in this qualifying for Djokovic. Matty Adams 16 is going to start a lap. So is Squidge now, and he'll need to improve a little bit in that first sector because Tess and BT definitely is. Squidge, was he just letting someone go there? Yes, he was. And Squidge is not going to have... he's just not going to improve at all this lap, really, Squidge. So he's counting on Tess not improving. Squidge isn't going to get around again here. So Tess now, this is all in his and ABT's hands, but it's not a problem-free first corner for Squidge. For Tess, sorry. Not a problem-free first corner, not a problem-free second corner. It's a bit scrappy for those first two turns. That is an Alpine that is rapid in a straight line and absolutely brilliant on the brakes heading into turn 3 and into turn 4. Nicely done. First sector split, then 2 temps up, and at the moment that is good enough for provisional pole position over Squidge, who is not going to be able to get another lap in here as the checkered flag has dropped. Matty Adams 16, where is he? He's coming up to that final corner. Here we go then, on the run down to the back straight. Spenclose, what's he going to be able to do? He's going to cross the line in just a moment, and it's going to be P4 for Spenclose, knocks Djokovic down into P5. Matt, is he going to be able to knock Djokovic down even further? Let's wait and see. Djokovic is done in this session now, keep that in mind. Matty comes across, and it's going to be P6 for the Ferrari man. Where is YPC Test? Coming out of the final corner now. So we have an Aston Martin of Djokovic just now coming into the pit lane. P5 for Djokovic at the moment, and that is the way it's going to stay. If Noah can't have a big improvement. As YPC Tess, I would imagine he'll go fastest here. Is he? Yes, he does. He goes fastest. Takes provisional pole position. Not unexpected. BT is not going to be improving. And it is YPC Tess on pole position for the Baku Grand Prix or the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, with Squidge in P2 and BT in P3. Spenclose managed to P4 with Djokovic in P5. Matt in P6, Noah in P7, followed by Iwatts, Samo, and their style lining up the field in P10. So then that is qualifying over and done with for Azerbaijan this season. 26 laps worth of racing to go in a couple of minutes, but we'll wait for just a little bit. Matty apparently disappointed with his qualifying, felt there was more pace on the table. Starting in P6, realistically maybe should have gone into that top 4, but we'll wait and see what his race pace is going to be like. But more than a second off provisional P or P1 then. It's just going to sting a little bit. YPC Tess on pole position by over 3.5 tenths of a second. Squidge not able to challenge in his second run. Beating P3, Spenclose in P4. Djokovic damage limitation qualifying P5, almost a second off pole man's YPC Tess pace. Matt in P6, followed by Noah in 7th. Jay Saiwa, sorry, again in P8, followed by Samo and Darren Style. So then, everyone, we are going to go to a quick little break here before we get the race underway. 26 laps of Azerbaijan Grand Prix is coming up, so just stay patient. I'll be right back with you for full coverage of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 3, 4, 5 minutes. Here we go, we are back for full coverage of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix as previously mentioned. A couple of commentary faults in qualifying, but hopefully we'll be done with those. We'll wait and see. But that's just part of the course, isn't it? With amateur commentary, it's one of the pleasant things about not being paid for this. As I can announce that the ready up has been given, we'll be going racing in 30 seconds time. 26 laps worth of racing action then for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Is going to be an absolute treat to watch. And it is coming up in just a few moments. The first time we're going racing around the streets of Baku on this game and on these last few games even. It is also, if I'm not mistaken, the last of the European races of this season, and yes, it is. After this, we're heading into Asia and America to round up the season. Here we go then, YPC Tess on the formation lap is leading the way. He's followed by Squidge 2017 and ABT. Spenklos in 4th, followed by Djokovic in 5th. Matty Adams 16 in 6th, followed by Noah. Iwat, Samo, and Darren. Then we have Wigan in P11 just missing out in Q2 with Hybrid in 12th. Ginsters and Kit 13th and 14th, and the two Saubers. First time I believe we have two Saubers on the grid this season, maybe, in JV8 and Ipsdude. So then 26 laps of racing coming up. Hello and thank you to everyone who's watching. Hopefully you're having a good time. Please let me know your predictions down below. And this is going to be an interesting one indeed. YPC Tess leading the formation lap away then. So apparently there's two Red Bull there. As I don't quite know how that's happened. So Tess, if you want to, please make an attempt at an overtake. Both Red Bull, please return to the correct position. So I think Spenklos is just going to back off and let... there's a couple of things wrong with this formation. Now I think everything has been sorted out. A little bit of a blunder there. I don't know quite how that happened. But everyone just taking and avoiding action now. It is back underway. No, I've been in P7, I was in P8. Samo, maybe a little bit of a disappointing qualifying for Samo Bamo, actually, running in P9, and that's going to be difficult with that gold and purple helmet. You would imagine a couple of seasons ago that would have been one of Matty's helmets. No, Matty, what is he running? Something completely white for this race. Okay, so a couple of helmet changes to contend with. Usually when you see purple on the grid, it belongs to Matty, especially in the Ferrari team, but now it belongs to Samo, so we'll just keep that in mind. As this should be one of those quick lineups that everyone's coming onto the straight at the same time, and the race is going to get underway in just a few seconds as YPC lines it up on that first slot of the grid, and as that is happening, Jay and Ipsdude are going to be lining up in 15th and 16th respectively. Here we go then, we are ready. DRS has been disabled by race control. We are waiting for the 5 lights to come out. And his lights on, away we go, and Squidge gets away, well, maybe a little bit better than YPC Tess. No, Tess recovers in the second phase at the start, and BT goes straight on the first corner. Maybe contact with Squidge there, I don't know. And we've had a massive incident involving Samo Bamo there at the rear. What has gone on there? We'll wait and see, but it is a virtual safety car here to start the race. It's been a while since we had a carnage start, but it was always bound to happen. Kit has made up 8 positions on the start. He's up from virtually last, I think it was 14th, to P6. And how on earth has that happened? Please send me that clip after the race. Dernstall, 5 positions up in P5. Matty and Djokovic up 2 positions respectively. Tess and Squidge holding position Iwas down 4, Noah down 6, Samo down 5, Spenklos down 11, and Beatty down 13 places, going straight on in the first corner. And it didn't even feel like he had the worst first corner out of anyone. That might have belonged to Samo Bamo. Carnage at the start of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's such a short run down into the first corner that it's always bound to happen. Danny DC in chat saying, uh-oh, that is an appropriate reaction. As here we go, we're back to green flag racing conditions. No full safety car needed. Everything has been cleared and we're back up to racing speed. Oh, that was a shaky little start, but Darren once again up to P5, and this is a man who's had a brilliant points haul these last 2 races in Belgium, finishing in P5 if I'm not mistaken, and finishing P4, and really not far of a podium as well in Silverstone. And you just have a feeling that consistency really is found Darren Stahl towards the end of the season again, as it did 2 seasons ago, and now he's picking up points like crazy. YPC test fastest lap at the Grand Prix. With an 8/10 advantage now over Squidge in P2. Yellow flags in Sector 1 again. That's quite a couple of cars in the pit lane. JV8, Iwatts, Noah, Spenklos, and Samo all in the pits for a new nose cone. No, Samo just in for a new set of tyres. New nose for Noah, new nose for Iwatts. And Jay, new nose cone going on the Sauber as well. As Gint says, we're going slowly doing battle with hybrid there. I don't know quite what was going on, but the two went very slowly for a little while. And it's a Haas P6 and P7 at the moment would be their biggest points all of the season. And Kit's first points of the season if he can hold on to this in his number 41 Haas. That's a nice helmet design as well from Kit, must be said. With the black, chrome and green. As Djokovic seemingly just with a little bit more race pace than Squidge at the moment is putting pressure on the man in P2. What tires everyone on, mediums or hards? It predicted a one-stop race, but whomever has already pitted most likely is going to have to pit again. As here we go then, first time with DRS this race. Djokovic, is he going to be able to make it past Squidge? Such a hard time overtaking into turn 1 in the real race. Not going to be a hard time overtaking into turn 1 in this one. Djokovic into P2. And Kit now having a little look on Darren Stahl. Not quite able to make that work. Hybrid on a little look on Ginstis. Ips Dude is running inside the points in P9. However, he has gone into ghost mode. For whatever reason, I'm not quite sure. They beat even in P10, followed by Wigan and Samo, P11 and P12. Keep in mind, Samo is into the pit lane again. And I think that is for a front wing change, since they didn't replace his front wing on the first go. And that is going to be costly for Samo, who now realistically needs a safety car to make anything of this race. As here we go then, Djokovic now chasing down the man in first, and he's actually running similar pace to YPC Tess at the moment. The gap is remaining at about 1 second. Tess is trying to manage it, Djokovic is trying to bring it down. Right now he's within striking distance. So Djokovic once again just found that little bit of race pace that he didn't have in qualifying. Keep in mind the championship cannot be locked out this week. It can be locked out next week out in Singapore. But he can do himself a lot of favor by getting those extra 7 points in the Drivers' Championship, just to make his campaign look a little better. But I dare call him the champion of Season 8 at this point. As Hybrid is now gaining a position on Ginstis, and it's going to go after Kit. Kit is very much managing his pace early on now in this race. Managing to stick with Darren at the moment, who's holding P5 beautifully. And it's a very, very different race order than we would have been expecting. I don't know what's happened to his dude. I'm gonna give him an invite, see if we can get him back in. Don't know if he might have left the lobby. As here goes Spen close on both iWatts and Noah. iWatts and Noah just banging wheels a little bit on the straight. But iWatts is going to have that position over the Maltese driver heading into turn 3. And up at the P13, Noah just having to elect the P14. But these three just need to get on with it. Can't really get stuck in fighting like this. They just need to put those laps in and try to do just something. Have a clean race and hope for a safety car, probably. I don't think there's too much else you can do realistically in that position, unfortunately. See BT now very much on the back of Hybrid as Kins has gone past. Oh, and that got close between Hybrid and BT. BT who might have, I don't know if he chickened out there. What's that? And Djokovic has gotten past YPC test into the fast corner. And that was a move that was coming. I wasn't expecting on this lap. But Djokovic seemingly the man just slightly quicker on race pace here in Baku. Up from P5 on the grid to P1. Djokovic in the lead of this race. Hybrid in P8, Wigan in P9, Ipsdude in P10. But he is ghosting. And I don't quite know where he is or what's gone on. iWatts in P12, Noah 13th, BT in 14th, Jay 15th, Samo is running a lonely race in 16th. But keep in mind, even if you're outside the top 10, there is a chance at a fastest lap points towards the end of the race. So everything still realistically to play for. Just gotta keep your head calm for this race. I'm expecting a safety car at this Grand Prix, surely, and that might trigger it. Wigan round coming out of the castle section. The ghost of Ipsdude takes avoiding action. He's now been able to join the session, so hopefully he'll be able to rejoin then. But that is Wigan's front wing damage. It's not going to trigger a safety car though. Unfortunately for Spenclose and iWatts, it's not going to trigger a safety car. As here goes YPC Tess on Djokovic. Elects to stay behind, locks up though, and that is going to just let Djokovic get away a little bit. Don't understand why YPC didn't go for that move, because he absolutely could have. Now Djokovic is just pulling away somewhat. 0.6 of a second. As I think Ipsdude is back in control. Yes, he is. As that is Hybrid now replacing his front wing. Wing's coming in to replace his front wing. Front wing changes for everyone in the Baku Grand Prix. Nothing's really working, and everyone seems to be going about this slightly weird pace. We're just going to pass Kit for P5. So Kit now relegated down to P6. Darren in P4. I don't really have a clue of what's going on strategy-wise right now. It's just one of those races that we'll have to go through, and the strategy is going to come to us towards the end. There we go, YPC test still within DRS range on Djokovic, but ever so just inside DRS, but that gap is gonna be maintained probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5 tenths. You would imagine come the end of this straight, but Djokovic's just pulling away ever so slightly before the DRS activation point. So here we go then. Hybrid and Noah found each other on track following Hybrid's pit stop for a new front wing there. So here we go. Hybrid on his teammate is on a better tyre. Let's see if Noah makes it difficult for him. I don't think he is. Nah, just lets his teammate go. It's the best chance for McLaren points this afternoon, maybe. But he'll have to stop again, Hybrid, on that medium tyre. But for now, just going to make the most of it and maybe drag Noah along a little bit. Because he is under pressure from last week's race winner, iWatts. iWatts is now finding himself in a very different situation. P12 and not really close to the points on paper. Should you say on paper or on tarmac? I don't quite know. Djokovic is half a second ahead of YPC Test and Matty Adam actually remaining inside that gap. 2.7 tenths of a second, and then there's quite a big gap down to Darren Style and Squidge. Kidden Ginst is going along nicely, and then there's a massive gap down to Ipsk Dude. And Haas is going along nicely this week, if they can just keep this going. If we have a race without a safety car yet again, then those Haas points are in for a good points haul if they just keep this clean. As YPC Test Van takes the lead away from Djokovic on lap 8 out of 26, and there's not much that the Swede can do about that. As here we go, going defensive into turn 3. Djokovic is gaining and gaining and gaining. Is he going to send one? Potentially. He's close enough to think about it, but doesn't. Zywatt's then on the start-finish line is behind those two McLaren. So here we go, the Noah iWatts hybrid running closely along each other. It's a little battle we're looking at the moment. YPC Tess and Djokovic. That's a battle that's going to go on for a couple of laps, I would imagine. Let's see who pulls the trigger first. You would imagine that Djokovic might try something of an undercut, maybe. YPC if he can't get past, but you would imagine that that lead is going to switch hands in just a couple of seconds once again. Is Djokovic just naturally faster in a straight line as well? I believe so. If nothing else, he's got the slipstream, which is worth a lot around here. And now the DRS is going to open. I don't think Djokovic's going to have to do too much about this one. Test pulls to the inside. Is he going into the pit lane? No. But he does not defend this one bit. And Djokovic just cruises past him. And it's like these two are found of understanding right now. Let's not make it difficult for each other. Let's just go along here and see what happens, because Matt is closing. Matt is actually closing in on these two right now. Gap was 2.7, it's now 2.3 about a lap later. So he's going along nicely as well. Could he potentially pull a little bit of an undercut on these two and get involved in the battle for the race lead here? I wouldn't be expecting Matt to fight for the win in Baku of all places, but just maybe. Just maybe. Squid is coming up to the back of Darren Style. The gap is about 1.2 seconds. It should be within the DRS range at the end of this lap. As a BT 10-second time penalty, speeding in the pit lanes. The first one to get that penalty this week. See if he's the last one. It's a bit of a tricky pit entry around here, where you we do want to push the limits a little bit, but it's not worth it on this game. Just take that extra half a second to make sure you have your car slow down. 10-second time penalty can be devastating around here. See what happened to Djokovic or Tess. It would absolutely ruin their race. Let's see now on lap 9 if YPC Tess is going to go past Djokovic once again, or if they found an understanding and he's just going to stay behind. P2 realistically might not be a bad place to be right now, since that's the only way you can undercut someone. If YPC sees Djokovic pull into the pit lane, there's a very decent chance that he follows. Matty pulls into the pit lane and a BT retires. We have a virtual safety car. We have a full safety car. Beautiful timing from Matty MC. Perfect timing from Matty MC that. And he is coming out straight behind the safety car. Has Matty just inherited the lead of this Grand Prix, or is he going to be passing the safety car here? Ah, he's forced to pass the safety car. Okay. But the question is now, how fast is he allowed to go on this lap? And are the race leaders going to be able to get into the pit lane and come out ahead of Matty? We'll see if that delta lets go. Matty pitting at a good time there, but might not be allowed to use that pace. The undercut might just not work here. Both Djokovic and Tess are going to come in now. Everyone's going to be coming in, basically. So a lot of people already have. Darren, Squidge, and Kit have already come in, along with Ginstas and Ipskdude. I believe got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. It's now passing that safety car as well. Samu Bamu in 13th doing the same. New nose cone going on for JV8 as a BT retired, I believe, coming out of turn 2. Unfortunate that for a BT, I don't know quite what happened. Might be something pit lane related. Seeing on some brand new hard tires. As here we go, you'd imagine these two are going to come into the pit lane. Let's see how quickly Matty's allowed to go on the straight. Doesn't look like he's allowed to go too quick. You would imagine the Djokovic and Tess are going to come out ahead. Matty now will have to go race pace, basically, in order to get out ahead. Djokovic, nice clean pit stop. Yeah, they're coming out ahead of Matty here. They're coming out ahead of Matty. So Matty tried something, it didn't really work, and now he has, not even going to call it one lap, all the tires, but very much in this battle again. Tell you who's not going to be enjoying this safety car is Darren, Kit, and Ginstas, who are all running a very, very good race ahead of time, and that's just been compromised ever so slightly now. I don't think Spenkler's going to really like this safety car either. It's kind of messed up his strategy. I don't think he'll make the end on those hard tires, meaning he'll have to pit again. The same for Noah, Iwatts, and Samo. The question is, do they pit now or later on? I think they'll have to pit later on. It's a bit of a weird safety car face, this, because no one's catching the leaders at the moment. So we have Red Bull, McLaren, Haas, McLaren, RB. Ipsdude in 12th with that drive-through penalty as well. And Samo having a difficult race at the moment in 13th, but now, thankfully, he'll be allowed to cash D back at the field, and I don't think anyone's been lapped. No, JV8's had an abysmal race with a couple of front-wing changes, but it'll just be able to survive it. Yeah, and Matty seemingly not too happy with the incident of his admin colleague and the subsequent safety car, making a call to try and undercut, which you would imagine could actually be quite effective around this place. And as he does, the safety car decides to come out, and it's tough luck for Matty, that, unfortunately. It's tough luck, and the tough luck for the Englishman is not stopping this season. Could have had one, maybe even 2 free race wins if things had just gone slightly more his way. But nothing's going Matty's way at the moment. He's having to fight for everything, which is just going to make that first win back even more rewarding when it does come. I have a feeling it's going to come in these next couple of races, but you never know as well. Anything can happen. But just on pace throughout this race, he has looked just that bit quicker than Djokovic and Tess. So we'll see if he can make anything of that. Now people are starting to line up behind the safety car, waiting for JVA to emerge on the scene. As Ipsdude is in the pit lane for a pit stop. I don't know if he doesn't realize that he can't serve a drive-through penalty under the safety car. He's going to have to serve that as soon as the safety car comes in order to not get disqualified. So that might have been an attempt to serve that penalty, which is unsuccessful. As there's an Alpine that's gone deep, I would imagine that's Darren style. Darren, who's having a mega second half to the season as things stand. P5 in Belgium, P4 in Britain. Naturally, that turned into P3 in here in Azerbaijan for his first NEF1 podium, but we'll wait and see. We are approaching half race distance, still a long way to go in this race, a long way to go. Safety cars coming in this lap. Everyone now has their mandatory pit stop out of the way, and Djokovic is going to massively back up the field now if he wants any type of control over this restart. As the safety car is going to take a long time to get in. As there we go, the safety car's in the pit lane, and Djokovic now has full control, and there he goes, trying to break away from YPC Tess, who tries following him. And Matty sticks with as well. Darren's under pressure from Squidge right here early on the restart. Has the back out of it, can't make a move before the control line. As now then, the race is restarted on lap 13 out of 26. For some reason we still have the safety car screen up on the left hand side. Avoid or ignore that, it is green flag racing action. Oh, is that a problem for someone? Was that Spenclose who's had an issue into an escape road in turn 3? Yes, it is. Spenclose's race going from decent to maybe bad with the safety car to really bad with that little, I don't know if it's lock-up or avoiding action. Matty sticking with YPC Tess beautifully here. As yellow flags, that's the second issue in the lap for Spenclose, and it's gone from bad to worse for the Englishman. Spenclose now sitting in 14th, only behind Ipsdude. Does he have a full front wing? Spenclose, I don't think so. Yeah, no, I'll have to come in and replace that. Spenclose then might just be out of contention here, maybe if not nothing else for the fastest lap towards the end. We'll wait and see. Decent chance we'll have another safety car as well. DR is enabled on lap 14 at 26. Half the race to go, 13 laps. Let's go. Djokovic, YPC Tess, and Mattis the order. Darren behind him. He's followed by Squidge, Kit, Hybrid, Ginsters, Noah, and Iwatts. That's a top 10, if I've ever seen one. A little bit unexpected, as that's an issue for the McLaren of Hybrid, who's dropped a couple of positions now. Got to get that car flipped round. And does he have a whole front wing? No, he does not. Missing 2 M plates. That is going to be balanced. The question is how much downforce is he losing with that? Quite a lot, by the look of it. Yeah, he's losing a lot. He's losing a lot of downforce. As this is the battle for lead now. Djokovic, Tess, Matty just falling behind now on lap 14. Squidge is putting pressure on him with down in P5, and the Haas is in P6 and P7. And this could be Kit's first points finish, and it could be a decent points haul as well. Gintzes is not able to hang with his teammate at the moment here. He's being put under pressure by Noah. As here we go, YPC test for the race. Lead is making a move into turn 1 as the two make contact. Ooh, YPC test on Djokovic, just slight wheel banging heading into turn 1. YPC has the position. What went on with Djokovic there? Wait and see maybe for after the race if there's an investigation filed. Matty now very much on the back of Djokovic as well, being brought back into the battle. And Noah did make it past Gintzes into turn 1 as well. Now he's going to chase after Kit, who is right in front of him. Sam at the moment just trying to make it into the points, but he can't seem to get there right now. Wiggins P10, Samo's P11 has not been able to make it throughout the entire race. Had a difficult start, mind you, Samo Bamo. But he's not had the best of restarts either. As here we go, then into turn 1, YPC Tess and Djokovic. Tess pulls to the inside. And Djokovic with the DRS now. Is he going to go past? Yes, he is. And Matt is right there. And now it looks like Matty might start getting a bit more aggressive here. Can sniff that, and Matty's might just on race pace be, I don't know, quicker but more consistent than these two right now. So can he maybe try a late braking move into turn 1 or turn 3? Might be what's needed on YPC Test at the moment, with Djokovic pulling him along. Or occasionally Test pulling Djokovic along as well. They switch every now and again. As there we go, Kit gets past Noah, maybe the two bang wheels into turn 5. It's a bit of a weird one. I didn't quite see what happened. I didn't know they were side by side with each other. But Noah maintains P6 then. And Kit gets a free second time of multiple warnings, makes contact with his teammate, and Iwatts is right there as well. And he's going to be enjoying the two Hasses getting too close together for comfort. 5 tenths of a second is the gap between Djokovic and Tess and Matty as well. Now 6 tenths of a second as we're heading on to the start-finish straight. Matty, wanna see try to make a move to just get into the middle of this train, which will give him just slightly more control. Oh, he's closing on Tess. Matty is maybe close enough to send one down the inside. Oh, it's just a bit passive from Matty at the moment, which I'm not quite a massive fan of. Tess not want to get past Djokovic here, but Matty could have made a move on Tess there. Just choosing not to, and I don't understand it. He needs to get in the middle of this train to be able to control it a little bit better. But right now he's just hanging back. Obviously he'll have a better understanding of his situation than I do. But from the outside it just looks too passive as Kit, oh no, finds his way into an escape road there on lap 17, sorry. And a race that was looking so good for Kit now has gone back outside the top 10. Samo into the top 10. JV8 running in a points paying position on debut. And wouldn't that be an explosion in his first race back? usually gets a massive reaction as soon as JV8 scores points in NEF1. If he does on his first race back, that'd be quite something. So let's just wait and see. Djokovic, Tess and Matty for round about 100 for this race, it feels like. See if that aggression just starts a little bit, but Tess is now starting to lose Djokovic out front. Djokovic's starting to pull away. Matty needs to do something, needs to do it now. Before Djokovic disappears down the road, because once Djokovic is broken away by a second, Matty's not closing that gap up, I don't think. Here we go then, Matty now is closing in on Tess, and surely this is going to be the lap. Tess is not going to defend this one. Matty round the outside, maybe. Tess is just pulling up behind the Ferrari. Matty up into the top two, and now is going to start putting pressure on Djokovic. Lap 18 out of 26. These are the championship top two, and these are the free championship contenders, the three fastest guys in NEF1 at the moment. Matty is closing in on Djokovic. Is he close enough to make a move? No. But he's putting a different type of pressure on Djokovic already than Tess has. Matty at the moment looking like the best out of these three. As Kit has retired from this race, and in the pit lane is not what we want to see. Please don't tell me that car is going to be a problem later on. That is most likely going to trigger an automatic penalty. But thankfully no consequences because of it. So I'm glad to announce that we have a couple of U-bots into the stream as well. Hello and welcome. Hopefully you are enjoying it. You just love those U-bots. You just absolutely love them. Djokovic then down the main straight once again. Matty is behind him, and now is Matty gonna put pressure? Maybe. And take the race lead here in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He's closing. And he's closing quickly. Djokovic, is he going to be able to defend this one? The answer to that is no. And Matty Adams 16 takes the lead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in the fastest lap, along with Matty at the moment is the best driver out on track. But now, for 7 laps, he's got to stay out front. Djokovic, he's going to try to stick with Matty here. YPC Tess is just going to hang back a little bit potentially and watch this unfold. Djokovic has the championship to think about. Matty, realistically, will want P2, but he's not going to be as bothered. Djokovic with more to lose here. He'll want to wrap the championship up quite quickly, and 18 points is a whole lot better than nothing if he made contact with Matty. Matty will be almost a bit desperate to win this race. Djokovic is just going to be a bit more relaxed in this situation. We'll wait and see. There's some interesting dynamics at play here. But Matty at the moment is... He's felt convincing for the entire race, Matty, even though he's not been really involved in the battle up until now, and has not led a single lap up until now. He's just looked in control in a different type of way than Djokovic and Tess. But there's still a long way to go in this race. 7 laps to be precise. And Matty's not exactly breaking away. He's been in this situation a couple of times before, obviously. Djokovic's quite good in sitting in P2 as well. So let's see if they now just start hanging back a little bit and just charging up their batteries for maybe these last couple of laps. Let's see if the race just turns a bit passive towards the next couple of laps. It doesn't look like Djokovic is too interested in attacking Matty MC. And Tess is 100% uninterested in attacking either of these. Djokovic is closing up on Matty, doesn't even make a move. And this situation now, these guys could attack each other. Tess is just hanging back. Djokovic is hanging back on Matty, and Matty is just going to have those defensive urges still, which is just going to help Djokovic and Tess towards the end of the race. Now it's all about battery management. It's all about battery management and where you are towards the end. We've seen someone lose the lead on the very last couple of meters of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix before. Could something like that happen to Matty on this occasion? It would be gutted if that happened, but it's a possibility. Now Djokovic just losing a bit of pace on Matty. Just needs to keep it consistent now. And if Matty breaks that 1 second gap, then we can start considering other options. But everyone is just hanging back, recharging the batteries. At the moment, Djokovic's had an issue, and that is going to allow Matty just a little bit of a break now. The gap's over a second now. Matty needs to be able to keep that gap at over a second. YPC Tess is going to be desperate to not lose track of Matty now. Djokovic with an issue coming out of the castle section. Now, this is the break that Matty needed. He needs to make the most of this. Needs to make the most of it. But he's not going to be able to break out of DRS on this lap, and this is going to allow Tess to just close in that little bit. We'll see, the DRS opens now, see what the gap is. It's going to be bigger. He's not closing in a massive amount due to a lack of slipstream. 0.7 of a second at the apex. Turns into about 0.6 of a second. So here's Van. Matty had an opportunity, but couldn't make the most of it. And that is mostly due to Tess's sublime third sector, must be said. He's able to make the most of it instantly. So Matty now has Tess to contend with instead of Djokovic after that driver. Djokovic is still very much involved in this, but he's now slightly more on the back foot. Up 21 out of 26 then. We don't really have anything else going on at the moment. No battles outside this top 3. As there's a stationary tower on the outside of turn 3, and is that JV8? Please don't tell me this. Yes, it was. Has lost a bit of ground to Samo Bamo. But is still ahead of iWatts. As Matty and Tess now running closely together, and Djokovic is involved in this now as well, coming up from behind. And the gap's about half a second between all these 3. Matty has a half a second on YPC, and YPC has 7 on Djokovic. As here we go, then YPC is going to be attacking Matty on this lap, and Matty's not going to be able to defend it. YPC takes the lead on lap 22, and Matty just going to hang back and go into P2 now. And now, it's a battle of race strategy up until the end. Does Matty want to make a move up until the last lap? Might just make a move straight away on the outside, but Tess just closes the door before Matty can get there. Oh, and Matty with a snap of oversteer coming out of turn 3. Manages to catch that. One of Matty's strengths is being able to just catch a car before a slide gets drastic. Which is ever a good skill to have around this place, especially with traction. Yeah, you can see that car's just twitching. Traction ever hard to find here, and Tess is just backing up Matty MC right now. So then, we're coming up to 4 laps to go. At the end of lap 22, we'll have 23, 24, 25, and 26. And I would imagine we won't know who wins this race up until someone's won it. It's the way things are going at the moment. YPC is leading this race from Matty and Djokovic, but the lead is switching every lap or 2. And it might switch here. Tess is not really going defensive. Matty just tucking into the slipstream and naturally gets past the Alpine there. Djokovic is hanging back in P3, not really attacking. Matty's back up into the lead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and I don't know if that's a position that you want or don't want to be in towards the end of this one. Oh, as Djokovic has had a massive issue coming out of... I completely looked away from my screen there for just a moment. Obviously, you viewers will have actually caught that. I was looking away from my screen for the time being, reading a comment on the Twitch channel. And Djokovic has had an issue, and that's taken him out of battle. It's now between Matty and YPC Tess, which has made this battle less complicated, but more complicated in different ways as well. Matty and YPC then for the race lead. Djokovic is not going to be able to bring a vac gap in, and right now damage limitation for Djokovic because Squidge is there looking to take a podium of him. Darren's running a brilliant race in P5 and is looking for another double points finish. It would be his third in a row, over 30 points in 3 races, which I believe might be his biggest points haul in that many races in NEF1. He's just found a different level, Darren Stahl, right now. He's just improving and improving. It's brilliant to see. JV8 had an issues down outside of points in P13, unfortunately. But here we go then, Matty and YPC once again. And now I have a feeling this is just going to go on towards that last lap, and then we'll see how it transpires. The question is, how much ERS is the driver in front going to have to defend it with on this main straight on the last possible? It needs to be going onto that back straight with a full battery, surely. As Squidge gets past Djokovic into turn 1. And Squidge makes his way up into the podium. Djokovic, after leading the race quite convincingly a couple of laps ago, now finds himself off the podium. We've had an issue for the castle section. That's Hybrid. That's Hybrid 472K in P12 at the moment, having an issue coming on Sector 3. And right now, Tess and Matty, I would imagine, are just gearing up for that last lap melee. Not got long to go, 2 laps until we're there. I don't think any moves are going to be pulled here in 24 or 25 now. I think Matty might be leading for that last lap. It's all down to who can get the better run coming out of that final corner. And who's quicker in a straight line, Matty or YPC Tess? Who is running the lowest drag setup? As Tess is closing in on Matty, but hardly. Now Tess is actually not. Yeah, Tess isn't closing in on Matty one bit. Is he that uninterested in making a move? And now he started closing a little, but he's not going to pull to the inside, not even going to scare Matty into defending this. As I think these two have found an understanding. Hybrid gets a 10-second time penalty for crossing the pit lane exit line. As now I think these two have an understanding that they're going to go on for another lap and a half, and it's all going to come down to that final straight. Tessa's got to mind the gap to Matty. Matty will be wanting to extend that gap, but he can't really. As YPC now has had an issue that is allowing Matty to break away. Now the question is, does Matty just start pushing the limits just a little bit? Or does he play the strategic game still? Tess is still within striking distance. Matty and this has turned everything on its head a little bit. Tess with a moment dropped a little bit of ground and now is actually going to have to push on this straight to get closer to Matty again. That might just set Matty up for a better chance on the last lap. Here we go. Now, we've got about 5-6 kilometers left of running in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Tess is chasing his second win of the season. Third win of the season, maybe. I'm not quite sure. Matty is chasing his first win this season. I don't know how many races won in NEF1. It's a lot of them. Here we go, lap 25 out of 26, and it's going to be Matty leading the way. Tess is going to make a late charge in 1 lap's worth of time. Matty or Tess, it is coming down between these two drivers. Let's go. As the gap is 4/10 of a second. Matty is going to be able to keep the lead into turn 3. I don't think Tess is going to make a move this early on. It looks passive from both Matty and YPC at the moment. YPC right on Matty's tail. Can't afford a single mistake now, either of these two drivers. The question is, Matty's got to slightly shake YPC somewhere in that second or third sector. He's got to get a little bit of a gap because that DRS is going to be open from Tess. And then we'll see what the closing speed says. Both these drivers are going to be deploying everything they have down that back straight. And that is going to be a full battery as well. Deployment, it doesn't matter right now, which is a bit of a shame, really, since deployment would be quite high. It takes away an element of strategy here. It is just going to be a straight charge to the line between Matty and YPC Tess. Matty's not pulling away from Tess one bit right now. And is he maybe just going to try to pull a weldy on Tess here? We'll see. 0.3 of a second. It comes down to this. How good an exit can Matty get? Because this is where it's going to be decided. Tess gets a bit wobbly. Matty now. Now, you've got to deploy everything. Tess is right there. 0.2 of a second. The slipstream is most likely maybe even going to be enough. DRS is going to be open. Matty might not be able to hold on to this. DRS is open here. And this is going to go down to the line, but Tess is just going to take him across the line. And oh my goodness, Matty loses the race win by 0.07 of a second. You did not want to be the car ahead on that last lap. Tess takes the win over Matty Adams 16. Squidge takes P3 from Djokovic, who finishes P4. Darren comes home to finish a brilliant 5th once again, and it's been a brilliant second half of the season from Darren Styles so far. Noah is going to come across for P6 and for a decent points haul. It's been a while since he had one of those, so he's going to be happy with that. Ginsters picks up even more points in P7, with Wigan coming across in 8th as well. Iwatts is going to come across for yet more points. It's not the win, it's not the podium that he had last week out, but it is another solid 2 points going to RB, and Samo is going to pick up a point in the end for the Scuderia Ferrari. That is heartbreaking for Matty. It doesn't matter what he can do. It doesn't matter what Matty does at the moment. That win just manages to elude him once again. Tess picks it up by a couple of hundredths of a second. Spenclose in P11, JV8 in 12th. Ipsdude is going to come home to finish his first NEF1 race in 13th. Very quiet race from him. And Hybrid, not having the best race either, came across for P14 and lost at the finishes. Kit W41 retired earlier on, and ABT suffering terminal damage in lap 2, in turn 2, sorry, triggering that safety car, which changed a lot. But maybe that win was always coming. YPC Tess wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. As there we go then, YPC takes the win over Matty and Squidge in the end. Djokovic finishing to failing to finish on the podium. I'm curious about, now is the championship available to him next week? I'm not quite sure, but I think it is. But it's not settled yet. In terms of the Constructors' Championship, I think Aston Martin are just going to slightly lose their advantage on Ferrari, maybe by a point or two, but it's no significant gains by anyone. But Alpine pick up yet another very, very big point. So 35 points to Alpine this week as they make their way further up the standings. Matty in P2 then, still a very, very decent race from the man up for P6 on the start. Ginst is also having a good race up from 13th on the start. Spenclose takes a point as well in the second Red Bull for the fastest lap there at the end as well. Worth pointing out in P11, still awarded a point for that in our league. But then Tess, Matty and Squidge is the finishing order for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix this season in NEF1. Next week out, sorry, we are heading back to Singapore for the first time in a little bit of time. But until then, we'll see you in a week's time. 7 days to go until we're back with more NEF1 action. Until then, everyone, stay safe, have a good one, and peace out. We'll be back in Singapore for the next round of the NEF1 Championship.